What's up, witches? It's Luna the Zen Witch. How are you? I'm so glad you're here today. Welcome to my channel. Today we are unboxing a tarot deck called the Cathar Tarot, The Secret Wisdom of the Perfecti by John Matthews and Will Kinghan. John Matthews, co-author of the Complete Arthurian deck, with a different artist on that one. So we have a sleeve box. John Matthews and Will Kinghan. Okay. This magnificent deck offers a unique tarot experience that draws on the ancient wisdom tradition, stretching back through the Cathars to the Grail myths and the Gnostics. Best-selling tarot expert John Matthews reveals how the universal symbolic language of tarot parallels the Cathar journey of initiation and invites modern seekers to follow the Cathar's path to self-knowledge and spiritual fulfillment. The cards are illustrated by famed tarot artist Will Kinghan. A 112-page illustrated guide explains how to work with the Cathar Tarot, including the use of 3 brand new spreads. And we don't have a copyright on the back. Watkins Publishing Company is, hold up, doesn't come out of here too easy. There we go. Nice design, poor function. There. All right. We have the deck in a little bag, and I got this deck as a gift, actually as a trade. I have a friend who has gifted me with many decks, and the first ones she gave me were, well, actually we've always traded. We traded for readings, we've traded for silk scarves and salves and warm puppies and all kinds of things. And as I pull this out of here, there's like some glue. Something was glued on the bottom there that makes the box kind of messy inside. That's a bummer. I don't know why. And there's a hole. Maybe that hole, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to question any further. John Matthews is the New York Times best-selling author of several highly successful divinatory systems based on early spiritual beliefs, including the Arthurian Tarot. So maybe it's not the Complete Arthurian Tarot. Hold up. No, it's the Complete Arthurian Tarot. Maybe that's the newer edition, was the complete one with Caitlin Matthews. The Wildwood Tarot. See, I knew there was another one. Why didn't you show up when I searched? Okay, Wildwood is a really good one. And the recent Byzantine Tarot with Scylla Conway. He is widely known as the author of books on the Grail and Arthurian legends. Will Kinghan is an artist, a writer, and an explorer of the Celtic traditions. His successful partnership with John Matthews has included the Lost Tarot of Nostradamus, the Oracle of Dr. John Dee, and the Steampunk Tarot. Okay. Watkins Publishing, 2016. I have ragweed throat. I have ragweed eyes. I've got like clouds floating across my eyes here. Let's take a look at the book initially for an introduction here, because we should know who the Cathars were. Introduction: the good men. In heaven there are angels and all the good men and good women. That is a quote from Père Mary, June 1324. The Cathars are one of the most enigmatic and fascinating spiritual groups to emerge from the melting pot of religious fervor that existed throughout the period known as the Middle Ages. First recognized in the 11th century in northern Italy and western Germany, with some in Flanders and England, the Cathars became concentrated in and around the area of Provence and the Languedoc and in what is today southern France, probably reaching this area via the trade routes that spread from the First Bulgarian Empire through the Netherlands, continued to be active through the 12th and 13th centuries until they were virtually wiped out in the drawn-out Albigensian crusades of 1209 to 1229, so named after the town of Albi, the center of Cathar activity, which earned them the alternative name Albigensian. The name Cathar itself is to come from the Greek katharoi, the pure, though they referred to themselves as Bunums, meaning good men and women, or simply good Christians, to separate themselves from the Catholic world. All right. Having rejected, this is the meat of it here, having rejected many of the formalized beliefs of the Roman Catholic Church, the Cathars instead held the belief that the world was created not by God, but by the Demiurge, a reflection of the real Creator, who had made the world as a poor copy of humanity's true home, an earthly paradise in which there was no fall, no expulsion from Eden, and no sin. Many commentators view the Cathars as supremely dualistic, and while they certainly saw the world of matter and form as inherently dark and the world beyond as light, they were well aware that a blending of the two aspects of creation was essential for the spiritual growth of humanity. In addition, the Cathars saw Jesus Christ as a wholly supernatural figure, a spiritual emanation from the Father. As he was not a physical being, the idea of the crucifixion and resurrection, central tenets of Catholicism, was rendered unbelievable. The Cathars were also vegetarians who believed that to partake of any creature formed by the Demiurge was evil. What about all the plants? Are those not created too? Anyway, sorry. And as pacifists saw no point in destroying what was essentially already cursed. Saw no point in destroying what was essentially already cursed. I don't understand that. They also possessed a healthy attitude towards sexuality, at a time when most Christians were being directed towards asceticism. One of the many myths imposed on the Cathars in more recent times is their supposed belief in the shunning of all physical relationships. In reality, they frowned upon procreation, since to bring yet more life into what they saw as a fallen world was considered a sin. Sex between men and women outside the sacrament of marriage was not, however, seen as sinful. Okay, so they were weird. And, I've always been curious about these religious traditions that frown on procreation, because it's like, can you not see the future of that way of going? But, Let's take a look at the deck. And I don't remember how they were packed in here, but I'm sure they didn't come in the bag. Most of the time you get a thing like this and the bag is separate and you've got a chonky deck. Okay. So, backs are an equal-armed cross. And then we have the Bonhomme as the Fool. The Parfait is the Magician. So now we can kind of see the structure. Philosophia, Lady Wisdom. You see the structure of their belief system. Esclarmonde de foi. This would be the Empress. Now, I do believe that the Cathars ordained women as well as men. Raymond de Tronceval is the emperor. Lucifer is the Hierophant. The Love Feast in place of the lovers. Ascension. Okay, so this is in the place of the Chariot. Let's refer to the book along the way here. Each of the cards has the traditional name underneath it, and then just a quote. Like Lady Wisdom says, behind the door of life lies the garden of paradise. The parfait, a parfait or perfect, parfait means perfect in French, was a senior member of the Cathar Church. The perfecti alone had the power to pass on the mysteries and the teachings of their faith through the baptism of water and laying on of hands. Lady Wisdom is deviating from the prescribed Christian teachings, also known as Sophia or the Bride of God. Okay. Sophia was one of the cornerstones of their faith. The Empress is the ruler of the soul. The role of the Languedoc. Okay, so these are actual people. Raymond de Tronceval. And as you see, the book has these full-color, full-size like larger than the cards, images of the cards. So that's very nice. Lucifer, the Hierophant, light is to be found in the densest darkness, the love feast. Ascension is the chariot. Yes, so we are sticking to it, but it's very different looking. And then we have justice. All right, continue. The Maloramentum. The Grail Knight. The Wheel of Life, for the Wheel of Fortune. The Convenenza. Convenenza, would that be a covenant? Almost looks like an initiation kind of thing. The Endura. This would be God, why can I think? The Hanged Man. This would be the Hanged Man. And then we have Death. And death is death. No need for little epithets there, huh? A Paralamentum. And there's the Demiurge. The devil is the Demiurge. The creator of the physical world, which is seen as a cheap copy of the real world. Montségur. This, the Tower card. Montségur was where the Cathars were kind of wiped out. They were held there. I think this was a mass suicide thing. Let me see here. Montségur was the last stronghold of the Cathars in southern France, a mighty fortress that grips the summit of a solitary hill. It resisted assault by the 10,000-strong army of the Albigensian Crusade for 9 months, despite being defended by only 100 soldiers, until a combination of starvation, lack of water, and treachery forced the defenders to submit. A treaty was agreed, and those willing to renounce their faith were allowed to leave. The Parfaits spent their last 2 weeks in prayer, after which they descended from the fortress to a place where fires had been laid and voluntarily went to their deaths. A persistent story has been told ever since that a small group of Cathars escaped over the walls on the night before the fortress fell, taking with them treasures too valuable to be lost to the Inquisition. Some hold still that amongst these was the Grail, but it is more likely that they were scrolls containing their rites and books of Cathar lore. If you've read Holy Blood, Holy Grail, you have a whole nother thing going on in your head, because that book, a lot of which was bogus, talked about bloodlines descended from Jesus. And there's still some of that, I subscribe to. That book is worth reading just as the best fucking mystery you've ever read in your life if you're into historical detail. But there's a lot of actual historical detail in that book. So anyway, plug there for Holy Blood, Holy Grail. Got rid of all my Catholic guilt. So there's Montségur, the Tower. The World of Truth is the Star. The World of Shadows is the Moon. The World of Light is the Sun. The Last Judgment. And then we have the World. But the World is the Consolamentum. And I think, let's look up the Consolamentum, because it's a big deal. Come on now. Here we have it. So the style is, looks like it could be, an old fresco or something. Old Middle Ages style. Let's look at the Consolamentum. The Consolamentum was the single most important rite of the Cathars. It could only be administered by one of the perfecti, and it granted the same status to the credent. Essentially, it was a spiritual baptism conveyed through the laying on of hands which consoled the credent, conferred via a direct lineage leading back to Christ himself. The Cathars believe that the Holy Spirit descended upon the credent, sometimes in the form of divine wisdom, who opened the way to the heart of the divine world beyond. Here we have depicted Sophia, the Lady Wisdom herself, in the center of a sacred vesica, held by two hands, one black, the other white, signifying the final dissolution of the opposing powers of creation and the restoration of the fallen world to a state of purity and grace. I thought I had read somewhere that the consolamentum was only administered on the deathbed. I could be totally wrong about that since it's not mentioned there. And I want to say that each card also has keywords here. There's a description, there's divination, then there's light and keywords, and then there's dark. So this is like upright and reversed. Into the suits. Shields are up first. Ace of Shields, Two of Shields. We're going to step right through the numbers. And shields, I don't know which suit that's going to correspond to here. There's the 3. The 4. Obviously, its very own system here. I want to say shields, pentacles, but let's look. We've got shields, we've got swords, we have love, and we have wisdom. Shield, swords, love, and wisdom. Let's orient ourselves before we get much farther. Okay. The minor represent 4 aspects of the belief of the Cathars, the foundation upon which their lives were built. The Book of Shields represents the strength of faith. The Book of Swords represents the sharp edge of truth. The Book of Love representing both human and divine eros. And the Book of Wisdom representing both the dedication to Sophia and the gnosis of the Cathars. They don't give correspondences. As with major arcana, the reversed meanings are incorporated under dark notes. Though almost no books, Cathar books, survived the militant purging of the Albigensian Crusade, we've imagined what some might have been like and what they could have contained. Okay, so this is a work of imagination. Shields are the season of spring. Swords are summer. So if this tracks, then love should be fall. Yes, autumn. And wisdom is winter. All right, let's get through the images. Shields, a family having a meal. The 5 of Shields. Is he just presenting food? Ta-da! 6 of Shields. This video could take an hour. I'm not going to let it take an hour because obviously the suits are walking us through Cathar wisdom and Cathar stories. The 8, the 9. Someone sort of being turned out by knights and is naked. 10 of Shields. Then we have the Squire. These are the court cards. Squire, Knight, Lady, and Lord. I mean, I love the style. So, you know, if the idea of these heretics really trips your curiosity, this would certainly be a deck for you. Okay, Lord of Shields, there's a chalice on there. So shields, faith, seem to be water, which is very interesting to me. Because those are the attributes that I brought to Hogwarts, is faith, and Slytherin is water. Okay. Ace of Swords, this was faith. What was the second one? Faith, truth, the sharp edge of truth. And then we have Eros is love. And then Sophia is wisdom. Okay. Sharp edge of truth. 1, 2. The 3. Four. The 5, showing kind of some disappointment. I mean, you could certainly, they are certainly evocative images. And I'm sitting here at a loss because I don't know the story that they're telling, but you could take it, the images are such that you could just take them at face value and see what's going on and make your own story. There's certainly things going on that can be recognized and interpreted. Here's the 8 of Swords. The 9. What's going on here? Are we stoning someone, perhaps? The 10 of Swords. Squire. Knight. Lady. And Lord. They're very appealing to look at. Oh, no, love is definitely cups. So shields, I don't know. Those are supposed to be coins? Or if those are were supposed to be wands. I'm guessing wands. Okay. The Ace of Love. The 2 of Love. I mean, let me look at the Ace of Shields. It's just a shield. It would have to be a wand, I guess. 2 of Love. The 3, we've got a spilled cup there. And looking in the corner here, we've got these little... The shields were in the corner, the swords were in the corner. This is interesting. It's a bird on fire in the corner of the love instead of like a chalice. Interesting. 4, definitely looking disappointed. 5. I see a little bit of a resemblance to the standard tarot. 6 of Love with children. Are these children fighting? What's going on? 7. Look at the water pouring out. 8. 9. Offering a cup to a kneeling person. That looks like a sacramente. And 10. A love feast, it would seem. The Squire of Love. The Knight of Love. The Queen of Love. And the King and the Lord. Sorry, the Lady and the Lord. Then we have the Wisdom cards. And in the corner of the Wisdom cards shows a book. Texts. Ace of Wisdom. So one imagines this is akin to coins. The 2 of Wisdom. Someone is bound to a post, having things read at him. 3 of Wisdom. Hand reaching down. The 4. The 5. Certainly some strife going on there. The 6. Charity. Okay, I could see that being like the 6 of Pentacles, caring for someone. 7 of Wisdom. The 8. The 9. And the 10. Very different images. Squire, Knight, Lady, beautiful, and Lord. So yeah, I mean, I didn't have a lot of commentary there because it is such a very different system, and I'm not going to take the time to, go into that whole system here. Let's see if we can shuffle, kind of, sort of. You just have to go at it in a very loose way. But yeah, that is a chunky ass deck. And I have done some older US Games decks recently, and the pleasure of shuffling those really points up how hard these are to shuffle. And, I just don't understand why companies wouldn't look at other companies that have gone before and say, this is really great and easy to shuffle and works in the hand. And how did they do that? These are not going to be shuffled very well at all. So I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut into 3 piles. So here's what you can do if you're having trouble shuffling something and, they're not breaking up into individual cards so that you're going to have chunks of cards that are still consecutive. What do? Well, you can cut them into how many piles, you need for how many cards. But first, let's ask ancestors and allies, guides and guardians, fairies and angels to come forth and bring us some information that is useful, practical, insightful, and helpful. Bring my viewers something helpful, please. All right. Shuffle this way. Shuffle this way. What do we need to do? Let me try this sideways shuffle thing. To take the best care of ourselves and to help raise the vibration of what's going on in our planet. What can we do to best help ourselves, help humanity, help the planet right now? All right. We are going to cut here and here. Okay, so I just loosen my fingers and let them fall. First thing we have is Lady Wisdom. I'm okay with that. The High Priestess. Behind the door of life lies the Garden of Paradise. Okay, we read there are many references to the Lady of Wisdom. Divination says the Lady represents divine wisdom, the mysteries, and a sensitive approach to problems. Her power is undoubted and her strength profound, leading the Cathars to turn to her when in need of particular help in the face of adversity. Her presence often indicates a strong and powerful woman whose advice may be important, but whose influence can sometimes be overwhelming. Some decks show her sitting with her feet on the moon, and it is this moon-powered intuitional wisdom that governs her influence in the readings when she appears. Though her wisdom is deep and sensitive, she can also, in a more negative context, suggest an inability to act or to turn her wisdom into action. Reversed, she can lead seekers astray with suggestions that encourage pride and selfishness. She may also suggest passion out of control, which consumes those who experience it. Take a look at her. You see the light shining on her? So she's opening the door and the light comes pouring in. She's got a red robe with stars on it. Okay. The light keywords are wisdom, intuition, depths, teaching, determination, the sacred, fertility of imagination, and the natural world. So what this is saying is that we need to spend time tapping into the deeper wisdom that we have and tapping into that sense of the sacred, of however things are manifesting in our day-to-day physical world, in the politics of the time, in our particular context. The sacred is still moving. The sacred is always moving. The sacred is not separate from anything, although the Cathars believed it was, that the sacred was one thing and that this world was a place of sin, but not in the sense that we are all horrible, awful, irredeemable sinners. It's the context of the world was a place of sin, if I'm getting that right. So the second thing is the Knight of Love. And it says, the Knight of Love is a person of perfect gentleness and spiritual daring. In the Grail story, he would be Galahad, the knight so perfect he is destined to win the holy vessel. To the Cathars, he was a recognizable figure, owed power and respect. In the ordinary world, he's an idealistic dreamer whose charms most people find hard to resist. A sense of otherworldly glamour hangs about him, a secret knowledge hidden just below the surface. As a guide, he is second to none. As a friend, he is a rock upon which you may rest in time of need. Reversed, he's deceitful and seductive, a cheat and a trickster who will lead you astray or encourage you to do the very thing you should not. So the key words are, on the light side, invitation, a proposal, an arrival. So this is totally the Knight of Cups. An arrival, a conquest, a lover, a union, compliance, attraction. So the attraction principle here, I mean, I'm not going to say, ooh, somebody's going to propose to every one of you that's watching this. Doesn't make sense. We're looking at broad context here and an interpretation that needs to be broad to cover the most territory, right? So this is an idealistic dreamer, secret knowledge, an intuitive, and a union. So union with the sacred, approaching the sacred, and okay, this is about taking care of yourself and your feelings so that you can stay soft and open to what's happening on a daily basis, so you don't shut down and slap the armor on. There are times when you need to wear that armor, but it needs to be a shield. And, a shield of light. It needs to be the egg. You need to be grounded with your shields up, so that you can observe but not absorb, so that you are open to the world and not shut down to it in self-defense. When you are secure and well protected, you don't need to be defensive, because you don't need to be, you're not vulnerable to attack. So this is talking about being able to remain soft and open to what's going on, to the sacred that we're experiencing every day. And we have another knight, the Knight of Wisdom. How interesting is that? Okay, the knight is there to help, to guide the steps of the credent and to offer advice whenever it is needed. He's a good mediator, responsible, trustworthy, and methodical. His appearance in a reading indicates a strong and dependable friend who helps you along your road and offers practical help on the way. This card also stands for confidence, determination, and a will to succeed. Perseverance and dedication win you the trust of others, while the reversed meaning suggests reluctance to move. This is an active person, necessity, obligation, success from strength of will, determination. So certainly Earth, but the things that jumped out at me with the longer meetings were dependable and practical. So this is talking about being emotionally soft and open and staying vulnerable, and you can stay vulnerable because you're protected. This talks about practicality and structure around what you're doing, so really needing to have a practice and have your daily life structured so that it supports the embracing of the sacred, the recognition of the sacred in your world. Knights are active. Knights are putting energies into practice here. So this one is the practice of perception, the perception of the sacred. This is the practice of, I think, just building it in, building in your interactions with the sacred into your daily practice. Through prayer, through going to your altar, lighting a candle, acknowledging who's there, talking to your guides, picking some cards, bringing that practice, the practice of your beliefs into your daily life is really where we're at. So it's kind of anti-Cathar, because they split things into, there's the sacred, there's the worldly. But the highest spiritual attainment is about the union of the two, particularly if you're a witch and a pagan. So I hope you enjoyed that very different deck and very different system. Certainly a worthy deck. I really like to see when someone has designed a new system and, it's internally consistent and all of that. Also a great way to learn some history of some people that went against the church and paid the ultimate price, as so many have that have gone against the church. My opinion of that. perpetrators of some of the most heinous acts on this planet. So there you go, the Cathar Tarot. If you liked that, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please think about it. And there are links below if you'd like to shoot me a donation. If you would like to actually send me a deck from my wish list, I will do a personal reading for you on that unboxing. You can even send me a question. We can get very specific. At any rate, I always love being here with you. I'm so glad when you show up every time. I will be here tomorrow for another unboxing, and I'll be here on Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern for a live stream doing readings for the signs. Until then, wear your mask, wash your hands. Black Lives Matter, equal rights for everyone. It ain't a pie, right? We can all have our own. Did I even? I think I did. Let's do another little hovering here if we're still lit. There we go. Anyhow, this is Luna the Zen Witch. Till I see you next time, be safe, blessed be.